put it. Don't know where to put the camera. This one's got Wi-Fi.
No, just spin the line. No, that way. That's it.
So that's good to see. The background on me and Sovereigns, why we're here, what's happened is not a pleasant story, but that's generally why we find out why we get into law. Normally I find people that are researching law or that have had problems with the forces or the government is generally down to hardship or stress. You know, you have times where they told me they was unable to tell me because of the Data Protection Act. And I was like, well, I am the father, I'm the dad of my property, we have a contract, you know, I'm paying you this money, I'd like to be able to see my children and, you know, I've got it written everything. It doesn't matter, you need to go back to court. And I was like, well, I haven't got the money for that and I don't know where the mum is, so how can I go about this if I don't know where the children are? You've got an account and a file, and now what I know is a contract with my children, myself and the mother. Let's sort it out. And they wouldn't give me any information, they wouldn't disclose anything, so I said I wasn't going to pay any money. I didn't know what I've got here and on the presentation and what we've been doing over the last 18 months, 2 years. It's a very cutthroat world, so you know I've immersed myself fully into that, and now I understand, overstand and understand, and this is partly the reason for the meeting of today. I haven't been to uni, I'm not, and neither are the admins or anybody in Sovereigns part of a law society, legal society. We're not under licence, we don't promote or take any payment. We are a gathering after I've created Sovereign Paralegals November 2015. I was upset, depressed, feeling suicidal, suffering parental alienation, and I happened to drive through a bus lane sometime at night. I was new to Derby, and I got a PCN come through from the council telling me that I'd got a contravention and needed to pay it. I didn't agree with that, and I started looking into the realm of this as well at the same time as with regard to my property children. And I met a few people on YouTube. Then I started creating my YouTube channel and adding videos to it from ourselves, from man to man, woman to woman. So we've created a community. We've used the online Facebook community not for what most people would use it for. We've used it for referencing, sourcing, going out, finding out about the environment of which we live. So we've used, I call it a digital university, Sovereign Paralegals. It's not like it's a family group, it's a family thing that we're doing, it's a spiritual thing. And what I would like to do with the beginning, first seminar today meeting is go through what I found out, what we believe, is happening outside in this so-called democratic environment, world, country, nation, empire, whatever it is that it's viewed and interpreted as. So it will just be a little bit of, got some papers, not all this, but I'm going to summarise and go through what common law is, the language, when you're contracting, how you contract, what your status is, your birth certificate and your legal person, you being... So everybody in this room, do we understand that you are a woman, a womb man, a man of the womb? Now you may be female or male, but you're all classed as womb men, because that's where we come from, the waters of our mum. The birth certificate and the legal person, are you all au fait with that? You have a certificate, you are not that certificate. At the bottom of that certificate, which is a copy of a registered entry of the book of the General Register's Office, there was a data entry made there in that book, and you've got a certified copy that there was an entry made from your parents informing the General State Register's Office at the time. So I've left my birth certificate in the car in all the rush, but if you look at the bottom of it, which we've put the picture, I've edited mine and put it into Sovereigns in the picture files, you will find it says it's not evidence of identity, and it is not a bit like the V5 message on that. On the top of that, it says that this document does not prove evidence of ownership. Well, this is not, the certificate of the birth doesn't prove evidence of identity because we haven't claimed it yet. I believe, and we've talked about this extensively, that we are issued that, and it is the CESTU KV, which we've looked at, both of the acts, the 1666 and is it the 1707 revision. It mentions in there about the Court of Chancery and things, and we've extensively researched the language and the terms and the avenues of which we're directed to in there. Under common law, English law, we've looked at the interpretations of all the Black's Law. Generally we use number 4 dictionary for Black's Law because it's the most non-diluted. They're up to edition 10 now. We also use the Oxford Dictionary. We look at Halesbury's, and there's the Blackstones as well. Somebody called William in our group recently in America that started quoting a lot of Blackstones, where he's referencing William of Orange 1066 battles and stuff that we've had. So initially today we want to, because it's being recorded as well, I'd like to encapsulate the whole journey of what we've found. So for some of you it might be a bit of a repeat. We're going to head to about the remedy or the current protocol of which we're knowledgeable on or use. Go on, John.
I know you, going back to your birth certificate, obviously other people have got this, but also at one point you were trying to get your birth certificate because you had your name changed, was it? Mm-hmm. How did you go? Because I had my name changed through marriage, so my birth certificate will not tally up with the depot. So how do we get away with that?
Well, your depot will have the previous name on it, so like when I did mine, again, this was before I knew about the legal person who I just thought I was the certificate, I thought I was Mr. So I changed, I had the surname Jeremita at birth, and then when it came to later down the line, I changed to my dad's name, which was Hanlon, and then later on I wanted to go back to the original family name, so I went from Hanlon Irish to Jeremita, and on the depot I had to show evidence of Hanlon, and then they said, okay, you want to go to the family name, and that's evidence, my mum, father, stuff like that, dates, towns, and they changed it. So yours will have a reference on from the general registers or the depot office. You'll have a connection on for the account to say you changed from one name to the other, so they'll be linked. But your certificate will be in the original name. So your depot will have to confirm the change of the certificate name to the depot name, because you're right, it will be different on the Treasury accounts and on the state records.
Well, if you've got two birth certificates in a different name and no depot, because your mother just decided to change your name at school, and your national insurance and everything in a different name, but what the two birth certificates are in.
That's amazing. That's quite complicated. I won't be able to, off the top of my head now, tell you how to do that. But your mum's, she's done that? She changed your name, which is you can do that. But not legally. So the legal side wasn't administered. So she's administered the family private, but she's not administered the public legal. So the public legal will now need to be updated. Officially, you will be what the record says it was because it hasn't been updated. But privately, you can be who you want. So you'll find you may have issues, later down the line, or when you come to apply, register, submit, or if ever anybody pulls you up and gives you the knock and says, vehicle wise and stuff, and asking your name, I don't know. But, these are the perils that we face every day. If we don't follow the invisible rules that we don't know what they are, then you later find through a letter or through some communication that you've done something wrong and you've been very naughty and you need to pay. And if you don't pay, and I've done presentations at work myself before, and I've watched people nod off, so we're going to keep it informal and to the point. We have got signal keeps going, just to show people that are on Facebook, can I watch recording later? Yes you can. Aaron Beach shared, so there's people there, just give them a wave. They can't see you, but they can see us in the corner, guys. You're just here propped up. Let's do for the best. So, the presentation's going to come in a short while, so I'm going to read you some stuff that I've prepared, not all of it, I'm going to skim through it, and this isn't all from me. The beauty about this growth with sovereign paralegals is that if we don't know something, we'll ask, and we'll get somebody. It's amazing, the continents that we've got joined up. I think we've got a member in every continent now, every major continent across the globe. It's concerning to me the amount of Sri Lankans and Americans that we're getting coming in, but as I've said, anybody with a birth certificate is actually baptised into this Roman Catholic, indoctrination, if you like, this religion. So it doesn't matter where people are from. That we're based in England, and we're talking about Anglo. English, history, law, what's happening at the minute, how we consent, how the policy forces are running things outside, what we find when we run into the policy forces, what we find when we interact with the legal system, what happens when we don't conform with the legal system. These are things that you need to understand, understand and understand with regards to how you do. Like, example, my phone rings and I answer it and I say hello, and whoever's on the phone will say, may I speak to David please? Who's calling please? Because I've learned now not to just say David speaking, because that's what's called a verbal contract, which can be construed as joinder. And joinder is something which isn't taught to us, so we don't even know that word. It was I put it in my phone, it said that's spelt wrong. I'm like, no it isn't. That's joinder. And my phone isn't. It's quite clever how our smart systems and our words and PDFs and processors, like for documents, don't recognise such key words. You know, the illegal words. So joinder is, yeah, your phone rings and you would say, who's calling please? And they would say, oh, it's Debbie from RBS such and such, it's about your credit card debt from whatever, and we're chasing up the payment's not there. All right, well this is not David speaking. Oh, can you speak to David please? Yeah, you can do. He's here next to me in an envelope. I'll get him out the drawer. And he's like, beg your pardon. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not Mister now. You know, I can tell you confidently that you're ringing up for this person. That I'm not a person. I'm a man. And you need to set this out with your statuses as well, which we'll do that later down the line. Because where we've changed thought on how we deal with judges and courts, like fighting the black robe and the clerk, and possibly now controlling it and going into equity realm rather than the stance that we've had previously of you can't touch me, I don't consent, I present the certificate, I'm trying to get it discharged through cat and mouse game in the court. What we need to start to understand, along with this basic understanding of the language, your status, when to contract, who you are, what your person is, how many persons you've got, what you reside in, what your status is to go into a court. I've never been into a court other than to get access to my children. I've never had to, but I'm prepared to. And if any of you would consider going to court, we know that magistrates and county aren't so much, we call them clown courts, not because we're trying to be horrible, but because in the grand scheme of things with the legal, lawful realms and the jurisdiction, you know that they was dissolved, and what, is it Roger Taylor in Watford, he was an admin in Sovereigns in the beginning, fantastic guy with a massive amount of knowledge, and he's the one that's opened me up to that back in the day. So you wouldn't get anything done in a form of substance or any kind of real guts, like a heavy case handled, we believe, in a magistrate or a county, even though equity is known and acknowledged in all courts in all the world, like the Temple Bar have the control of the London Temple Bar, the City of London, which is separate to England, Greater London, which you're aware of that, are you guys? Where they live, the corporations, and it's in London, but it's not classed as part of England or United Kingdom, the corporation, should I say. It isn't England because they're not our people in there. This crown and the Vatican and the Washington, there's 3 crowns. So you could go to court and you could fight with them, or you could start trying to move it into a court of equity, and you try and convene a court of common law into a court of equity. Now, sounds easier said than done, and what do you mean a court of common law? You just said that they're all clown courts and they don't uphold. So yes, this is right, we recognise that. So you would argue with, not so much argue, but you would politely let the judge know who you are, what capacity you're in. You know that there's a trustee beneficiary, set the relationship being set up and it's misconstrued. So these are the things that we're going to touch on later on, once we go through the phonetics, the history, the language. Who's heard of the Phoenicians? Yeah? And this history game, this game that we're looking at, Exit Babylon, it says here, but I'm sorry about the lie. And I got this yesterday. I had to drive to Birmingham at 5 o'clock because one of the admins, Luke, won't mention him by his full name, he can't make it, his child's badly. He was going to lend me his projector. I went out yesterday and bought this for like just a small amount of money. I had to drive from Burton to Birmingham and back again, so that's what we've got. I'm sorry, it'll be better next time. But we're going to go through here on the language, because the etymology is the meaning, and this is where the ADHD kicks in, you see, so it's good that I can have the fragmented, random, in-depth, complicated realms of broad spectrums to talk to you about, but keeping the main thread. But you'll find that what we get presented is a lot of fragmented information, and when you're looking at it, it doesn't make sense. But over the years, once you've had enough of an eye for it and you've got a few friends in the right places, you get nudges, and before long you end up, the documents that we've got, the literature, It's just fantastic. If you go to the Sovereign Paralegals on Facebook, 250 plus PDFs, your sources, your references, your PACE, your acts, your statute, your legislation, your case law, notices that we've got, that we've used. When I say notices, and I'm talking about statuses, you need to fix your state trust law. With the trust, again, we'll get this man, I'll have a go later if he doesn't want to, then I've got some papers to recap on the equity because it's quite big, but whenever you are signing something, you are creating a contract, so you might think of it as your V5, your driving licence, the birth certificate, anything where you put your signature, you are the authorised agent of. So where that birth certificate says warning, this is not to be used as identity, and it contains the Queen's motif, the royal emblem, the monarchy sign on there, that's the highest bit of paperwork you can get because it's also bonded and watermarked through it. And the only thing with bonds and watermarks are things of value, monetary value. So you are securitised at birth. You are an asset, and this is what's not disclosed to us. This is part of the deception of which we're going live on Facebook, having you guys in the room now, telling the people of England that we're not crazy, we're not going insane. These TDAs have really not helped because people now think they're millionaires and they can just go and stop working and you know, go and buy a small island and, you know, cars and whatnot. But it's about offsetting and the bills of exchange. It's a little bit more in depth than that. So when you sign something in your contract, you're entering into a trust. So what the DVLA and the GRO and people that are connected with the government fail to tell us is that once you've handed over that legal title, then you have become a trustee. So you've got the bill of sales for your car that's just cost you $5 grand and you've worked 10 years to save up for. I know it's extreme, but just bear with me. 10 years of your time, your sweat equity's gone into that. No one else has earned that car but you, through earning, doing your overtime. Your input is your work and your labour and your sweat. The output is the credit system that they pay us with, that we call money, currency, finance, you know, just generally, you know, the money that it's not money because it's not backed by value. So it's the world we live in is very misleading, you see, from the very offset, you know, and it's like when you're signing and you're contracting and you don't know that you're contracting, you're thinking you're that bit of paper and there's all this stuff happening in the background. Well, that's where we've come in. We can say, oh, to the judge, well, I'm not the trustee, I am actually, you know, the beneficiary. If not, I will be the, you know, the settler. This is a misconstrued relationship. Whereas before, we was going in, we was getting the birth certificate and we're saying, where's your oath? I want to see your oath. Are you under oath today? Where's your oath of office? I demand, and you know, we was going in with an aggressive stance, or some of us were. The general thread of it was, and then we're going to the clerk, saying I'm not the, you know, I'm not the person, I'm not the fiction, I don't contract, I do not agree to be surety for this case, I don't have an international treaty, I demand the bonds be brought forward because in the county and the magistrates we know they haven't got bonds for the judges and the clerks and the operation of the whole regime because they're not allowed to be trading, as we know. So this is why you get angry and they run off, the judges, which is not what we want. We don't want to go to a standoffish, aggressive situation. We believe now through the research and through other groups and you know, such people as Roger Taylor, David Russell, Lee Monroe, the admins actually in Sovereigns, what's that other one now, the legal, there's another law exposing the lies and truths. There's some groups with like 10, 20,000 people in. There's an anonymous group, Uprising, Resistance Uprising, that's got 120,000 members in. There's a lot, I know there's a small amount in this room. The video will be getting relayed, we're trying to go on Facebook and you guys will speak, you'll take the information, you've got the website that we're going to put the PDF and files on, you've got the source code from the government.gov.uk, so whereas people say, he's a crackpot, he thinks he's a sovereign, well, this crackpot will take you straight to the place where the people that are appointed in alleged authority have written all this stuff, and will take you to the history, the actual years, the battles, the kings, the countries, the actual times, the places. We've seen stone tablets. The people that have researched, there's a guy called Zachariah Sitchins. I'm a bit perturbed about him. There's two different stories about his research, but he's gone back and he's looked at the Sumerian clay tablets, and we've looked at all the languages, the phonetics, the structure, the Greeks, the Latin, the language itself, the ancient Sanskrit, the Sumerian, the Babylonian, looked at the Christian faith, the revisions of the Christian Bible, the King James Bible, the Vedic religion, the Hindu, the Mormons. We haven't just gone, we think we know what's going on. Not me. the things that I will recite and that will be on this video are many and varied. There's no script here, and it's going to be fragmented but with a main thread. So you have to, it's my first presentation. I've done YouTube ones before. Very time conscious. How are we doing? Are we all alright?
Yeah.
Are you following? Have I lost anybody? Am I speaking too fast?
No.
Change.
YouTube are complaining, Facebook's complaining, the signal's a bit weak, so you're going to have it saved on here, aren't you, David? So hopefully that will go through nicely. So I'm going to tell you some things now. Some of this is fantastic. I want to pass some things around as well while you're listening. This is to stay in the room, but there's lots of documents. Just pass some of those around. Well, you can have a look at some of the formats that we use, some of the languages. I've tried to take out most of the confidential information. There is certain members of the group's names left in there, like David Russell, Lee Munro. There are some things from various Facebook groups. What we do is we don't claim title. This is a group thing, it's a spiritual thing. I don't want any money from this, I'm not wanting any kind of fame from it. I just want this country to get back on its feet. I want this country to feel proud again, to actually have stability and to actually have some pride. Because when I look about in the street and when I'm actually at work and when I'm dealing with my fellow brethren, the main guts of this country are the workers, the taxpayers. I don't see anybody that's happy, I don't see anybody that's comfortable. I saw on the news the other day, 2 days ago, was it yesterday maybe, of diggers driven into a co-op and took out an ATM machine. This isn't the actions of natural, happy people, Anglo inhabitants as I would call us. We are suffering from a lot of pressure. We've had the things that have happened at Westminster with the bombings. We've had the horrendous tragedy, which we're not sure about, at the Ariana Grande concert. My fiance here, her daughter's 10, and she demanded to go to that concert. We tried to get out of it. This was in 2016. She found out about it after 2 days. She's an avid Disney Club follower. The Disney Club, this is not the greatest of channels to be watching. We're weaning her off it. She's 10, she's got a lot of time, but she's addicted to the Nickelodeon, to the Disney, to all the stuff like this. And she went to the, where did you go? Manchester was the bombing, and you went to Birmingham for the concert. So it was very close. I might have been stood here telling you that there's been a loss in the family, and there was people in our family affected by that bombing. So we're very lucky that there wasn't, and we're very grateful, for the safety that we have. But I don't feel confident. Who feels confident in England's ability at the moment to go forward and defend? And that's to you, to everybody that's listening, the rewind, the playback, the people live. Our government are elected by us. So we, apparently, the people, not the womb men, this is the difference again now, the people are who the government work for. We call them a de facto government. I'm not going to go into what de facto is, but that's a word for you to research and why we say de facto. But a de facto government at hand, the towers that have burnt down, the Grenfell Towers, everybody's, this is a manslaughter investigation, a legal situation. They're all paid, there's millions of pounds of contracts passed hands. People are trained, we've got building standards, we've got regulations, and you just after a bit scratch your head, and there's that much horrendous stuff in the news, you actually just think, I give up. I feel like giving up. It's better when they come out and say, we've got this one world order, nobody's working, nobody's listening, everybody's blowing each other up, killing each other, stabbing each other, everything, we can't control it, the NHS is going to the dogs, and how do we stop it? How do we get control? Well, you can't, and I don't think we can, because what you think you've got to get control with is not going to get you control. It will allow your legal person to be controlling, but your legal person is not you. And if we don't know, morning, hello. If we don't know, welcome. It's all right, no worries. Did you get parked?
Oh, I got lost in the city centre.
Right, well, thank you for coming.
Alright.
Your legal person is not you, and you know that now. And we need to tell the people out there, the rest of the country, we're a small minority that believe this, that interpret this. We're not causing trouble. We don't tell you what to do. We don't offer legal advice. And what we do is research and study as a family unit, as a collective of people on the same vibration, on the same wavelength, that see, that understand, that How many people have had a conversation and tried to wake somebody up or tell them what's happening and just for it to fall on deaf ears?
Two man in.
Yeah. But you still keep trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can still keep trying. Chicken Oriental, yeah.
I've seen somebody look at me going, you're off your tits, mate.
I got the solid gravity person after that. They don't want to know.
Yeah, and it's upsetting, it really is. The way to get to people is to show them, to make the videos like what I'm trying to do. I know they're a bit budget and basic, but it's the information that we need to get out, to get strength and to get solidarity and to get where we want to be getting, and not to be led, but to be leading and to be instructing people and to be in charge of control. Pardon me. Is this journey now that we're on with, because if you don't know what power you have and how much power you have, people say to me, you can't go into a court and instruct a judge, but that's exactly what you should be doing. You should be going there, you should be knowing from the offset, you should be telling them before you go that there is somebody coming and you're going to make a special appearance. We don't represent and we wouldn't appear, because ghosts and spirits appear, dead things appear, fictional things, and when you are representing something which they're already knowledgeable of, which would be a legal person. So there's another way to do it. You could go in, write them the letter, tell them you're coming, but I'm hearing we need to inform the Attorney General and other people that we are coming, because the judge and the Crown Court have the right to say you are a person, or they could make you be the person and ignore you if you don't let them know your official capacity, which is where we come in and say remaining in honour. Now, we are divided at this point whether to go down the ecclesiastical deed poll and deal with the House of the Vatican, and as I said with London in Greater London, where the obelisk is, there's three of them: Washington DC, Greater London and the Vatican. Now the Vatican has the 666-foot obelisk that was taken from Egypt. I forget who brought it across now, I've got it in here somewhere, it's going to be mentioned to you in a bit. And that's a separate, it's not Italy. My surname's Jeremito, I've got Italian, Greek, English, Irish lineage. I'm a bit of a mix-up, but it's good because I've got a lot of, I've got a lot of roots, so I can look at the lineage across all of the continent. And the Vatican is not part of the Italian country, it's on its own. It's a separate state again, like London is, like Washington DC is. So we're finding out now, what we've done is we've gone from rumours and whispers, and we've actually found out for fact, and we've traced it, and then we've gone in the history books and we've looked at this, like I've mentioned to you, everything that I've looked at. So yes, it's fantastic, and there's every day where you learn something new. I've just learned now in the last couple of days that the Section 151 officer is going to be the man that we go to, because power's been shifted to him from the government for certain. Has anybody else heard this or read any posts? Yeah, about the 151 changes. So it's constantly, when we think we're on it and we've got it, all they'll do is change something. The Consumer Credit Act, or non-negotiable, Consumers Credit Act, Section 123, paragraph 5.
The 151 officer,
Yeah.
I was being conferred on him by legislation through Parliament. What's going to happen when he gets called into court to prove that I've lied about my council tax?
He probably won't be called into court because they don't present anybody, do they?
Next year was the third stage.
It's liability, whether or not he gets, it's the liability part, whether he comes to court or not, isn't it? Because they'll put, if he doesn't put his exact name...
The 151 officer
Yeah.
is the person that I believe signs, he authorises the liability to go out, and I know all the legislation part of that.
Yeah.
But the final process of that is committed to prison,
Yes.
where someone has to say, he's received the payment. That has to be the 151 officer.
The local taxation manager, I'm not going to talk about my council tax affair because I can give private updates about that. I'm not going to go public with it, but I did make my conditional acceptance offer to the 151. I worked with this with Roger Taylor back, he did my help me work the wording for the conditional acceptance to him. I sent it, it was recorded, it was signed for non-domestic receipt. The later down the line, one thing and another, I ring up the council because I've got an enforcement notice 6 months later. He said pay the full amount by 25th of December. And I was like, that's funny, isn't it? Christmas Day you want £650 paying, or it was a warrant for the arrest kind of thing, collection enforcement, should I say. And I rang up after the New Year, And they said I needed to speak to Mr. Horton, the local taxation manager. I said, why would I need to do that? She says, because that's who's been dealing with it and is responsible. I'm like, well, I've written it to the Section 151 and the CEO of Derby City Council, so they've both got two separate letters and been served in their capacity, you know, in official capacity in the ward of the state. It's just a nightmare. They play games, they don't play ball, and even when you've got it right, they push you to go and see the road.
I mean, I'll speak to you about it later on, but the situation I've been in, the judge I've been in front of over the last 2 years,
Yeah.
we've got a bit of history where he's actually backed me up before. So I do have a bit of respect for him. And the last time in court, the other week, he actually turned around and made a comment on the record.
Yeah.
Which to me takes us away from, this takes us back into our courts, where the judge is saying on the record.
Yeah, we'll speak about that later, and if anyone's got any input for you, David, they can tell you now, but I'm going to stick to this. I understand and hear what you're saying, and it is frustrating. They changed the goalposts. They are, you know, different counties, cities, powers, jurisdictions, royal charters, things like this are applicable. This is again where you can't just take, John's done that or Dave's done that, so I can do that and use that, because if you don't use your own due diligence and research, and you jump onto something what somebody's done, and you've just copied and pasted it, not necessarily for council tax, then you might have found that you might not know there's an error there or an omission, or that it's different section of the law or statute you need to be quoting, or different powers that you need to be relying upon, and then therefore you'll fall down. So these are other reasons why everybody must do the research. You must use your due diligence. If I create a template, or we create a template between us, a notice, and we put it out there, and nobody checks it aside, there are natural laws. Who's aware of the law of attraction and the power of intent? A few of you. I've got some PDFs all on the ticket. We'll do this at the end. So that's not so important. But the PDFs I want you to consider viewing, and the areas, the videos I'd like you to look at, is I've got some to put on, but obviously it's not going to hold up, I think. The law of attraction, there's a guy called Dr. Masaru Emoto. He's a Japanese guy, studied water for 40 years. Anybody heard of him?
Yeah.
He's amazing. We are 80% water, so the reason for looking at the water realm is because we drink water, we're 80% water. The water is the biggest thing in our diet. We can live a few days on food, we can live a month maybe on water and no food. The electromagnetic, I'm sorry to get like, I've looked at quantum mechanics as well, so I've probably looked at about 200 different subjects, faiths, religions, laws, mechanics, sciences, food, environments, everything. So we'll stick to, I'll keep it, you know, focused. The laws that we have, because it's a spiritual thing, the reason I wear this little crystal thing is because it's something from the earth. It's vibrational, it's a vibrational frequency, and I believe that we all in this room are operating on that vibrational frequency. The reason why you've got off your bums, you guys know what Radio 1's pumping out at the minute, what's on the ice. What was we watching yesterday? I was doing this presentation, doing all the slides. Anne-Marie was watching TV, and there was something on where there was 5 people stood, some kind of game show, I don't know, I haven't a clue. And the top halves were all covered, but you could just see all the genitalia and naked all the way down, and somebody had to pick something going off. And I just looked up and went, what?
Well, that sounds like a lot of bollocks.
It was a load of bollocks, yeah. The vibrational frequencies, what's happening here. Russell Brand says, he amazes me with the lingo he can just come out with, and the syllables and the amount of the intensity of which he will speak. And then I thought, if I've learned this, and I've got to this level since November 15, then he's got the environment, the money, the surrounding, the time, the friends, the structure. He could walk into anywhere and get classes, and he's there telling everybody how to fix the world, but he's only half telling you. Yeah. David Icke, again, I loved him when I first got into him. The reptilian thing I thought was crazy, but I can see the Cargill, Nestle, Pfizer, all these massive international raping water countries, people that are working for cola in Vietnam or somewhere. They were saying they shut all the water off of the village, the crops died, but the factory had the water for the cola that must be made, be it the earth and the people and the villages and the environment. So I was like, well, what do we do then? He doesn't offer no solution. He brings it here and he puts it here and he makes you think, it's so bad, there's no point, just turn to drink, that's all we do, or get violent because there's no authorised outlet to calmly, methodically, collectively, en masse as one to go, actually, we see this, but we don't agree with that, and this is what we're going to do. And then to find your voice and how to find your voice, who to direct it at. And yeah, this is something I want to read to you. Anybody want to say anything before we see?
That's why David I get so far. Is because
Wembley Stadium sell out, 60
he
something.
leaves out that little bit that would tip
Yeah,
the tipping point. He leaves that out.
indeed.
If he
Yes.
just said that little extra bit, that tipping point would go, and people would sort of say, right.
Yeah, but knowledge should be free.
Oh, yeah.
Charge.
Oh, don't. Yeah, there's people out there charging. We've got no charge here. We've got surgeons. I know he doesn't want to make a big deal of it, but he's paid for the venue here today with his donation. So he sat there in the red hat. We say thank you to Mr. Red Hat. Bless you. Yeah. On imagery, brand, marketing, even though it's not for profit, I need it to be remembered. Simple colour system. The red and white, you all know the resemblance of the red and white colours, the purple, the sovereignty, the legal name fraud, the legal truth. That's going to be our main marketing ploy. I'll get some t-shirts hopefully with that on. But the Sovereign Common Law Charitable Trust, we are charitable, we do trust in each other. We don't do it for money, we're not a business. I haven't registered it with anybody, I haven't gone online, I haven't gone to the HMRC, I haven't done anything like that because I don't have to. If we want to make, we've called this a private meeting, we've done it by invitation, we've followed the structure which we need to follow, and I'm building this like a business because that's how it needs to be, even though it's not a business, and we're doing it in our free time. Some of you have travelled like hundreds of miles round trip to get here to do this, so it's really appreciated, and we are going to move, with the digital means and the website. Darryl Haycox has helped out with organising this. He's not here today. But he's sorted the list out. I don't think he is. I haven't seen him. Oh, he's hiding anywhere. And yeah, he's helped out. You guys are helping out with the promoting. You, David, coming up to do the filming.
I've come from Spain.
From Spain. Gracias, senora. So now I'm going to read out, because I'm conscious of time. We've got just under 2 hours then till 1 o'clock, and I'm going to play some videos afterwards, and we'll have an interaction and see what we can. How you feel about stuff that I'm going to present here.
Do we get a flag break between?
Oh God, yes, yeah, of course, mandatory, yeah. If you want to nip out and have a cigarette at any point, if you know something, I'm not going to be offended.
The room's going to be empty.
And then I'm going to get onto this. So, when you go to court today, it's all about commerce. I wrote this, by the way, let me stop. When I went to see my mum in Greece, I had to go and sort family issues and go and see her. She's recently gone over there to work and set up a business and retire. Island of Kefaloss. So I was out there 4 in the morning. I got woke up. I've had a bad dream, and I don't often have dreams, maybe 2 a year. It's very rare. I sleep very deeply, and this was a nightmare I was involved in. And I ended up writing this over the next 2 days. Posted it in Sovereigns, and then this is going to link onto this. Hopefully, if I've done it right. So when you go to court today, it's all about commerce, the Phoenicians and commerce. They're all connected. The word phony, when someone's, and this ties in with Santos Bonacci, anybody know him?
Yeah.
You need to know him if you don't, but Santos Bonacci, he was the one that tied it in for me. When someone's called a phony, it comes from Phoenicia, phonetics, language, and the alphabet, and it went to Greece and Rome. It comes from Phoenicia. The Assyrians, the Babylonians, and the Greeks, they hated the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians, they were tin trading with England apparently 3,000 years ago. There was a very strong, well-established bunch of, we'll call them merchant traders that went everywhere around the world. They were the ones that took the alphabet down from so many, possibly made nearly 100 or over hundreds of letters to the 26 alphabet, the character alphabet that we know today with the Anglo-English. So that was done for a reason as well. The way that they selected that alphabet and that language that we use now was formed wasn't done by accident. It was carefully planned. So the Phoenicians, they went and ended up into Venice, and they become the Venetians, the makers of them blinds, amongst other things. The language is more important, the laws. They went to Rome. The Phoenicians went to Venice. They became the Venetians. When Rome was sacked, they all went to Venice. The black nobility, this is from Rome, they found Venice on the water, just like Phoenicia was on the water. I wasn't around at these times, I've taken it from history, Carlos, Santos Bonacci, I've had a lot of articles, I love history, I've looked at a lot of history in depth. And this is my opinion, and it looks like it's very close to the bone. It's not fact, but it's very close. You look at Santos and various other, you do your own research and that, you'll find out, similar stories. The Venetians went across Europe and they married into royal bloodlines. They had lots of bullion because of them trading, commerce, boats, shipping, talking all the languages of the world. They were the men. They were big. They found the Jesuits. The Jesuits run the world. They are guilty, trafficking, possibly drug dealing, and involved possibly with monarchy. I'm careful using my words because I don't want to get incited or called or, I'm not going to, we can read, you put your own bits in there. I will use summaries, and I will try to be careful how I say and not to be construed as insightful, because the times we're living today doing this is a big risk for me, to be fair. A lot of blood has been spilled over the years, and even in the Bible it says, you can quote these bits, but the death of God's witnesses, the blood will go up to the noses, the killers. Rome founded Paris, Rome founded London. They are all Roman corporations. London, the city of the Lord, or the sun, or the Saturn. Paris is Swiss for Isis. And what do you find in the centre of Paris? You find a Notre Dame. And who's a Notre Dame? ISIS. Now Rome is an interesting story, because when good old Babylon was destroyed, the old Babylon, there is still a Babylon running at the minute, the priesthood, the cardinals, the guys that are dressed in red, Babylon, that's the reason the whole thing is called Babylon the Great. Get out of her, my people, if you do not want to share with her in her sins, because you will. Now I classify you as all my people. You classify your family and friends as your people. We have all got people that are connected. Yes, good, that's still on. Connected around the world, so we need to look after these men and women that we know them as people. But if you share in the sins, I can get that for you, what chapter and what verse that's written in. So we have a system, a legal system. It's a system of Scheisen served up as freedom for you. If you want to use it, to get in, you just need a birth certificate, and you join the corporation. You get on the citizenship. What they have done is put you on their ship. Let me put this back this way so you can see. Just change it up a bit. Here we go. Sorry. What they have done is put you on their ship. We think we have rights. This is when I went back to you guys, the people having a government, and you can go to your government and you can contact them, and we elect the government, but really you see why they don't listen to us, and it's not working, because we now know they work for the citizens and the employees, and the citizens and the employees are classed as legally dead entities, a civil death. The people that are alive with the hearts, the minds, the emotions, the love, the wants, the requests, the wishes, they don't recognise them here unless you're a private person. Now none of us in this room, maybe one might be a private person, or two, me and somebody else, or three, me and an admin and someone that I've spoken to, but you are not in your private capacity. So that's when, see, I do go on tangents, that's when they come to your car and they knock at your door, are you the driver? Is this your vehicle? You've got your driving licence, your person's driving licence. You're not in a private capacity until you instruct them. They think, by their presumptions of law, that you haven't rebutted at any time. So then that's what I'm saying, you haven't sent a notice to anybody, declared, statutory declaration. You are, by all intents and purposes, that legal person that they want. And then you're there at the door going, filming it, the door's locked, that much of the window open. No, it's private property. It's a mode of conveyance. I'm not a driver, I'm a traveller. But you see, we make it hard for ourselves. So what we need to start doing is, going forward, is protecting ourselves and then going out. And then once we're protected and our families are protected, and this will be using notices and trusts, I believe, going forward over the next few months, then we can start attacking, or not attacking, dealing with the establishment and the people that seem to be, suppressing our development, arresting our development, manipulating our development, telling our children what to eat, drink, where to go, how to speak, how to dress. I get my child to dress in the way I want. She goes back upstairs and gets what she wants, because that's what they're wearing in the magazine. So it's a big job, guys. System of Scheisen served up as freedom.
What they've done is put you on their ship. We think we have rights because we're on land, like when we go to court and we stand outside the dock. We have no rights that a creator given because we signed them away at the year of 6 months to a year. Our parents were given, informed the state. So your claim of right was submitted at the point of registration, which is a heinous crime. That in itself is theft of future rights, entitlement, estate, everything. That's like all the other issues that were mentioned on our brush upon and that we know and that we've tackled. This is massive, it really is. You can't do that you cannot operate in that realm. If we went out and did these kind of contracts in business, where would we be? We'd be locked up. We'd be having hefty fines and locked up. So this system, it's got to go. We think we have rights because we're on land. We have no rights that the Creator given. The Creator, the cause, the one with no name, unconditioned consciousness, blissful, that is our true nature. So then why are we suffering and why are we all sick? Why are we going to the doctor for tablets? We're doubling up on antidepressants. It's because of this system. It's got to go. The one thing we are going to amend, what did say bring down, but we're going to say amend, or we will delete and start again. With our consciousnesses and preaching to the world, we will do it in a peaceful, non-violent and non-compliant. Do not comply. These people are phonies. We do not consent and we do not contract. We will choose when to consent and we will choose when to contract. They have set up a good old system. They set up a system where we have no rights anymore. Do not go to court saying, I have rights, I have God-given rights. Don't do that because you haven't. You have services, privileges and benefits. That's a shocker for me when I read that. At some points I've had a little cry about this because with my children, and when it hits home and a little penny drops and I'm like, oh. Don't think that it's the end of the world because it's not. This man in the corner, myself, the admins, a lot of people in some other people in the background. We've got a private Skype chat going. We're going to crack this baby open. We've got remedies for you to protect yourself. It's involving trust though and equity, and we've got things that we can do. We've got a system without money we can use, a resource-based economy. We've got loads to go at. So even though I'm going to read you this and bring you some horrific things to the forefront of your mind that you might not be conscious of, you may never have heard it, it might sound quite scary and evil, which it is. You don't panic because we've got, as I tell you this now, because it'll just give you a bit of peace of mind. Services, privileges and benefits. Search Black's Law Dictionary for what that means. Services, privileges and benefits, not entitlements, rights, unalienable rights, things like that, Look at the comparison. We are all slaves on the slave ship. We can have a privilege, we can go to jail, because that's a benefit to the system. Much like us paying tax, that's a benefit to the system, that we pay the system tax. We signed up for that when we claimed the IMF, International Monetary Fund, National Insurance Number. If we have got this estate, inheritance, Treasury Direct, I will say now that in my opinion, and some of the admin's opinions and other people that are in the know, they should have given us disclosure when we was offered the national insurance card. They should have said, hey, do you want to sign up this here and I'll pay tax, this is all voluntary, you don't have to, HMRC, blah, 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 legal entity, income tax, when you go self-employed or working for a corporation, this is what you're going to be doing. Or you can choose this route and you can manage your own estate, you can decline the national insurance number, you don't have to sign up to that, you can then start offsetting the bills and use a little thing called the 1882 Bills of Exchange, a negotiable instrument, and promissory notes, because that's what we should be doing, that's what the rich and the elite do, that's what the bankers do, that's what the corporations do, and who does no work? Them lot. Who pays no tax? Them lot. Who's the one working? We are. Who's the one paying the tax? We are. Who's the one using the bits of paper that when they print them, they get just paper, but it's special paper, I'll give it that, and it's got pretty colours on and a hologram, and because we give it authority, then I promise to pay the bearer, we pass them about. But each one of them debts, as you're going to find out in a minute, is somebody's, it's like a sin. It's not good what we're doing, and this money and the perpetual debt and the fact children are starving on this planet when there's more food and water for everybody the world over, and houses and space. The only thing that's causing this is man-made scarcity through the controlling system and the monetary system.
David,
yeah.
I just mentioned something. the EU take the surplus stocks, 150,000 tonnes
The
of
grain and stuff, yeah?
and just dump it.
Don't, yeah, I've heard rumours, I can't
No, this is
substantiate
fact.
it.
They dump it. They dump
Mhm.
food. These supermarkets that are giving it out to the poor and the outdated stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's generosity on a different level. But the EU have been wasting thousands and thousands and thousands.
yeah, we have food mountains, America shipping it all away, and yeah, what they're doing.
Starving the population.
Well said, yes, well said, brother. So we are all slaves on a slave ship. We can have a privilege, we can go to jail. We are enslaved. When a child is born, it comes to a birth canal. When a ship comes in from the high waters, from another land which has different laws and cannot trade with another country unless it has maritime law, it comes from the birthing canal. Birth and is docked. A doctor is present when a baby is born. That's the docked connection in the water. A certificate of manifest, a statement of life. Here is a baby. Then comes the baby's birth certificate. Bonded, it is. Certified, it was a statement of life. Birth, and then the parents informed of the manifestations to the GRO, much like the boat's captain gives the boat's manifest to port. You understand what manifest means? It means to appear, a spirit, an entity made manifest in a court or an apparition. And boats use that for commerce or manifestations. The parents are informed of manifestations like the boat's captain gives the boat's manifest to the port. Government certified your birth certificate. The bondsman, now you are a citizen on their ship, you've been bonded, the securitisation, you've gone into debt to the government, and that's what happens there. The waters, they have put all around the planet. This is now the three main obelisks, London, Vatican and Washington DC. On these obelisks they've got 2 foot off the ground, brass rings, a brass strip that goes round it. That's the water that they brought up on the land. Today, when you see these pyramids, they rule. Washington DC, a monument of 6 foot granite monument. London has one, and Rome has the largest natural obelisk in the middle of St. Peter's Square, stolen from Cairo by Julius Caesar. There he is. Julian dynasty. I've looked into, see what I mean? I've done a lot of research. My friends have. It's not all me. It's come from other people. When other people give it me, I will go and validate. It saves me having to do it. It's a lot easier. Keywords.
I don't know whether you noticed, everyone, but
Yeah.
if you look all around the world, the obelisk represents sea level at the top of it.
The obelisk sits at the top of it, does it?
Represents at the top of it. If you look down towards Devon, they have
Yeah.
obelisks.
Yeah.
It's all represented.
There's 3. Washington.
Yeah, no, there's more than 3.
Oh,
But
okay.
the
Well.
3 main ones.
No, this is the Triforce in controlling. Yeah, go on.
Yeah,
Let's have some dialogue. I'm up for this. Yeah.
But High Point. Now, that is the sea level as the birthing canal. Now, another factor,
Yeah.
the birthing canal is always produced. A Freemason brings that child into the world. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
A Freemason brings that child into the world because the doctors and surgeons are all funded by the Masonic Trust.
The doctors and surgeons are all in the trust. They're in the royal colleges of,
And how it gets
and
funded?
it's royal. It's monarchy related. So.
It's the Freemasons that fund them.
But the midwives as well, they would be as well.
Okay.
Yes, they're all funded by the
Nurses,
Freemasons.
aren't
Yeah.
Freemasons managed by the monarchy.
Yes, well, sorry.
It's the monarchy that run the Freemasons.
Monarchy were in the Freemasons.
Actually,
I'm not sure. This is going live, so I'm going to be careful with the words and that. We are aware that they're there. We saw the reason for talking about this. If anybody does want to know out in the world there why we're talking about that, is the helicopter that collected one of the allegedly injured people from Westminster driving with the car in the attack. What did it say on the door of the red helicopter? Anybody remember? Mason London Masonic Foundation, and it had a Masonic code on the flight number as well, for us all to see. Those that have eyes to see and ears to hear.
It's hidden in plain sight.
Hidden in plain sight. I'm having to repeat just for the camera, so you know the video and
It doesn't
stuff.
matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's true. We see this. So, any more input? What was you going to say, my lady? You had something to say? No?
Not immediately. Well, further back, yes, I was just going to say that everybody here, we all need to be really familiar with etymology. That
Yes,
is your
it's coming up.
biggest thing to learn, because if you take the S from words and put
Swords,
it at the
swords.
front. They use words as swords,
Yeah.
and that is the biggest thing.
You're going to love what's
for
coming up,
anybody
but
to
we're not
know.
going to see much here.
Watch the golden word.
Yeah. And that's really my main point. That was it, Dave. Thank you.
Luckily, I'm going to repeat everything what's going on this not much visible screen here. So, thank you for that input. We're going to touch on this. I have seen a checkered flag that goes around while we're talking about the Masons and the secret organisations. There is more than one. There's a lot of organisations that we're dealing with. We've got lobbyists. They're an organisation. They're legal. They control the Parliament. They go and, you know, we've got the Inner Circle. We've got Camp David. We've got Bilderberg. You know, it's not just. We've got a lot of controlling organisations and factions to worry about and to be aware of. So, yeah, the checkered flag around the policeman's helmet and around the here, that denotes, you know, the checkerboard and stuff, the chessboard, yes, pieces. So, back to what I was saying. Rome, natural obelisk, middle of St. Peter's Square, stolen from Cairo, Julius Caesar. Julian dynasty is a family that started these corporations. Julius and his adopted son Augustus were the first sons of gods to rule an empire, and the Republic went bye-bye, just like the Vatican did 130 years ago in America in 1881, 21st of February to be exact. The 1881 Act, it is an act. They are acting. The US is a corporation, not the United States of America. Same as England. The United Kingdom is a corporation. We found it listed. We have the code. We know it's a business. It's a non-living entity. And the Christians have been led into thinking it's a Christian country. The Christians killed the indigenous inhabitants, this is over in America, converting them to Christ by the edge of the sword, putting them into the reservation camps. Criminals, the lot of them, bullies and murderers, no redemption at all. Consciousness must come to save this planet. What year did the United Kingdom come to exist? I put a question mark, so I actually haven't really put that in, I was going to tell you. Recently is what the answer is. What part does the International Bank of Settlements play? They play a big part in this. So that's just a little bit of what I've read and found out about FON. We could break for a cigarette break if you want, and some drinks, and then I'll do the presentation because I want to have a cigarette as well, and toilet and things. Then we'll head from, say, 10-15 minutes, and we'll head for break time, dinner time. Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Yeah, we want to.
That's going well.
Yeah, good. It's been no preparation.
No, I don't agree. I think it's the way you're doing it. Perfect.
My brain's a crazy place.
If you had gone up on YouTube and had a look at my videos, everything you said.
Right, okay.
We're all pre-programmed, and those videos will be programmed the same.
Tell me anymore.
I don't watch that.
Good lads. Good lads.
See you guys. I come up with like what's that?
No, I tried telling my family about Article 61 and like, oh, you have to pay council, you have to pay this, you have to sell your soul.
David, did you know the Article 61 should have been used last, not first, because you already warned what was going to
Use last, not first.
The reason being, because that's the primary defence. Because when you get in there, you've got all the evidence.
And then I stand under oath as well. Yeah, I've got that for the end.
You say you stand on the Constitution.
But the problem being is then you made them aware that there's a resistance against the legalese. Now they're defending against it. There's nothing you can do about it.
No, there is. We don't use legalese anyway. We don't need to use it.
No. But the thing with it is to beat them.
Oh yeah.
To beat them, you have to go into their arena. Simple as.
Yeah, their domain, that's what I'm saying, control the clerk and the judge.
You need a government, although you say you haven't got a government, you have got a government in your but you haven't got it.
Oh yeah, the family, democracy.
Yeah, the thing is, they look for someone to lead them. They always do, all of us.
Yes, facilitating, yeah.
But no, you lead them to the light.
Yeah, that's it,
open the light, and then they facilitate what they do.
Yeah.
And exactly what everyone's doing here, they facilitate what they need. If they want to be multi-millionaires, they can facilitate it because they've been decloaked.
Yeah.
So
you know, you can choose. You've got informed knowledge.
You've got to open the mind to be able to make that choice.
We're having a 10-minute break. We will be back. I'm leaving it on. See you in a bit, guys.
But they said,
Where's biscuits? Where are the biscuits?
I think we need to go out and get some food. I've got nothing. I've brought microwave. In the car there's a microwave.
I know.
No, that's there. Microwave is in the car. Let's get food. Yeah, we're going to get some food.
No, just checking. Here, we could focus on about half an hour before we need to go. So we can get there in plenty of time to the station. Because my train came so
Oh, that's one of the YouTube videos, is it? That's not me. Oh, Marie, have you got your phone on? No, it can't be live feed. This one's on Facebook. That's Facebook.
Whatever that was, I was showing you before.
Oh, right, yeah, 34 views. I don't know, that was just something. That was on Facebook, you need. But you're here in the room anyway. But it'll be on Facebook, he's recording. I need a wave of 5 tomorrow.
They really have got to know that system in your mind. If you're trying to really get a remedy, you need to take it further. You need to get into and that's where you'll get your solution. Recognise it, they still use
You're still involved in it as well.
It's good, so the battery's on. There's people saying we're having a break, guys, and we're coming back. Signal is rubbish, don't mind donating for the info. Yeah, we're recording it, we'll give it you, we'll get the video for you. 56%. Wi-Fi's
rubbish.
Maybe I make it a bit better. We'll see. No, sorry, I'll be checking on my good lady, that's all.
Check out, I'm still working, yeah. I know.
That's more than you swap.
They are. Can you understand me?
Just about, yeah. Just about, where's all the paperwork?
Did you put your paper there?
Yeah, but there's a bit more, there's some other bit. These are for me. I'll give some to pass around as well.
No, it's not yours. Can I just ask everyone, is there anyone here from the South Coast area?
Wait for tea.
It's very racy, Jackie. So what's your
Go again. That's all right, we'll wait, we've got time. Microwave's going. Yeah, I'll see everyone. Not showing everyone. It's famous, yeah. So anybody that wants to helping out and giving out their advice or support where they can. So it wasn't meant to be. It was just meant to be like a parking charge, and I didn't think the group would have the direction or the family would come together and have the interest of what they've had. We have had some successes. An old lady, a grandma in Barnsley. I'll respect privacy, but one of the first major wins we had was when my mate said his grandma in Barnsley had got a letter from the council. The council believed that the son was living there in a van parked up by the side of the property. The lady in question, the grandmother, was getting single person's discount for council tax. The council teamed fraud department. It was a letter from the fraud department saying she was being investigated, found guilty of these claims from an anonymous source in the neighbourhood. So we then got hold of this, myself and you guys in the group at the time. It was probably March, around about March 16. We got our heads together. We looked at what somebody needs when they make a claim and present a claim. When it comes towards somebody making a claim, we know we need the proof. So the letter and the contents from the council to this grandmother was, we need to know where the son is living. We need to know and see evidence of his bills. We want to know where his rent account is. The lady was being asked to prove she was innocent. So she'd been called guilty. They sent a letter saying, you're guilty, this is how much, what we're going to do. Unless you submit, that word again, submit the information we request, we will be going ahead with this sanction. It was a single person's discount going to be removed from 2016 backwards to 2007. So obviously 7, 8, 9 years worth of single person's discount for an old lady of 86 is not good. So we looked at it, we wrote the letter and we asked for proof of acceptance, proof of authority. We said you've already made the claim, so let's see what evidence you've got then, because we don't know what to answer to unless you provide it to us. We said we don't contract, we don't consent. This is a private lady. It was an ex-council house. The lady bought it and wanted to give her son the inheritance while she was still alive, because when you pass away, the tax and everything that happens. So she did that, and the son was given the house that she bought that was ex-council, and she was then a tenant, it's complicated, I know things we get, but she was then a tenant in his house, and living there, paying him rent, getting single person's discount. And he was coming back from said place abroad,
staying there and having residency as he's entitled to, just temporarily, looking after his mum. He wasn't officially an inhabitant, or as we say, living at a dwelling. So the letter was sent, the lady was given a phone call, they arranged to come round from the council and take a statement of truth. Because when there is no evidence, and we've called for the evidence to make the claim, and they've already sanctioned her and saying what's going to happen, we said that the due process and rule of law needs to be followed, especially from a council. This is, Barnsley Council is not, it's a county, I believe, it's not a city, but even the lady on the phone directed her through to a manager. The manager spoke to her and says, oh yeah, it's all been sorted, there's nothing happening now. So they didn't bring her up to right and follow it up and say, here's the closure. She'd won. She hadn't got told she had won, because if they had have done that, it would have been an admission of an error on their part. Oh, that claim that we made when we said this, well, actually, now you've pulled us up on it and you've held us to account. I've never been to uni and we're not licensed. We just used a bit of in here and what's in here. We looked at the law books, we put it out for the experienced admins. Roger helped, Lee helped, David Russell, I did it, all of the admins, I think Warren was in on it, Dean, Julia, Sharon, we all, we don't send anything out. If you ask us to look at anything, we will look at it and we will give you, if you've got a document you're going to send, or you've been passed a document, or you've got a remedy or a theory that you want to try, we are not the ones to say, we don't give liability, we work together as a unit, so it's always on you. It's your decision, it's your life. Like what we've said with the trusts, we're going to talk about once we've had break. That's your decision. We can't construct a trust for you and write your declaration and put your items into the res and make all this trust and appoint beneficiaries, and trustees and stuff. You would be the settler in that. But again, we can talk to you about it. We're not going to do it for you, but together, later down the line, we're going to make sure that we are qualified in this, and the admins and the people that are working in the background in the Skype chat and that have paid £400 to go on some courses. So we actually get, I haven't paid, but 3 of the guys have paid some money and gone with some people that have got case law references and won using trust. So as I mentioned earlier about the fighting in the court and demanding and all this aggression, we're going to go in calm and we're going to try a different tactic. We're going to go in protected. And I just wanted to say that the bulk of the work and the bulk of the input and the dialogue and the interaction is from yourselves, it's from the admin. All we do is double check. So if I was to not be here after today, God forbid it, Creator forbid it, then that group could run as it is now. It could be left without the man that made it, and the admins and the people and the members would just grow and continue. So I like to know that we all like to want to leave a mark on this planet, or feel that we've done something, or feel that our time wasn't wasted, or that we've helped somebody. So for me, I've made mistakes in the past, and if anyone was to look into my history, like I said at the beginning, I'm not perfect, I'm not an angel. I have had dealings with the establishment and with the authorities, alleged authorities, and I've ended up, answering for that. Nothing massive, but just being a child, delinquent, teenage. I left home at 15, so I was supporting myself at 15. I've never been incarcerated, so I didn't do anything, that much off the rail to warrant me having to go into prison or anything. It's just something that needs saying, that we all do contribute. We are all equal, and for the people that are watching the video that's going to get watched back, that if there was any inspiration to be had, then everyone that's in this room, and the fact that we've never been certified to be legal professionals, but we are legal professionals, lawful professionals. We leave them to do the legal side, and what we do, we will learn and understand, understand and comprehend all of the language, all of the structure, all of the instrumentation. We don't use it, we don't advise you to use it, but when it comes to managing a trust, you might need to temporarily dip into the legal realm and use their instrumentation. Now you can do that without signing liability, without, you can protect yourself, you can indemnify yourself, you can set things out previously. So it's all a personal choice, but what we're aiming to get done is a template for the civil, anything that's a civil claim made against you should be dealt in a county or a magistrate, civil, it's not criminal, and it should be dealt in a basic way. Now we're going to work on, which we are doing now, a procedure that would allow us for any claim under civil ruling, CPR rules, that we can present this generic template and anybody can follow it, because it will draw on the equity side, not so much the side that's quite varied. So we're looking for a constant way that everybody can, not constant, a generic template that everybody can use for any situation, and then if you was using it, you'd need to understand it. You wouldn't just copy it again and go to court, because you can end up in trouble. So anybody that would go to court for a civil issue, it's not that dangerous. It can be financially, but it's a civil issue, so you're not going to get incarcerated, took away. You're going to end up with fines, benefits, as we mentioned earlier, forfeits, suspended sentences. Well, no, you could get the court case shut down and moved into a private area if you was clever enough. So you are using the legal instrumentation. You would go to court, but you wouldn't contract and consent. You'd be in a different status, and you would be the one in control, rather than going to the domain, the court, and then calling your name, saying yes, getting into the dock and all that, and consenting and contracting for something of which you don't necessarily need to do. There may be, if you look at it, the processes and the way, especially with bailiffs, repossessions, orders for enforcement for recovery and collection of goods, we find that when we look at it, or we're in the courts, there isn't a warrant of execution. It's all fraudulent, counterfeit, bogus, fake paperwork that they use with intimidation and fear sometimes. And these guys, I'm hearing some stories now from people that have had bailiffs. Well, they're not bailiffs, they're debt collectors posing as bailiffs, or in some cases they'll come under the Gas Safety, 1954 Act under safety and stuff, and they try and... That one is a bit sticky, to be fair, but the rest of them, when they come, we can challenge that. When they come to collect on a debt and enforce recovery, and then they try and clamp a wheel of a car. We had somebody saying help in the group a few months ago. Debt collectors had come in. I was 45 minutes late picking it up, which is why I'm asking for help with the admins. The team themselves and the family had put in their comments and said what they advised to do, what her rights were, what trespass is, what criminal trespass is, what the removal of implied rights to the property are. And if the guy's clamping the car, somebody asks the question, is it yours? No, it isn't, it's on hire. If it's on hire, it's not your property, so they can't clamp it. There's ways and means that we can deal with these people. You need to know the laws and the rules for the said laws. And it involves starting at the beginning, unfortunately, for most. And when we do this, we find out that we do know what we already know needs amending, because the interpretation or definition of that word isn't what we believed it to be, or it's since changed.
Just one other thing about if anyone, if you don't know it or not, if anyone's had to pay a bailiff, and it's a friend of yours or a partner who's paid your bill, you can always get them to do a chargeback.
Yeah, you can do a chargeback, yeah.
Not many people have been doing that.
No, this is it. This is the information we need to get to people, yeah, with regards to these.
Sorry, one thing to note, everyone's got to remember this, when you go into the court, you are the highest sentient creature. That's about...
As king, I go to court. If I was going to court, I would go in as king, asking the questions. Right. Equity is king in the court, common law court.
Equity also has a countermand, but you've got to be careful not to go into equity if you're trying to achieve a goal. Because equity is just a remedy, what they call a normalised remedy.
Yeah.
Whereas there's another section where I was reading it the other day that said, if you go into that area, you can't transmute it into that one. So if you're after financial remedy, you would have to go that route, not the equity route. Although equity is financial, you can actually serve them with notice, like I did explain earlier on.
Yes, we understand that. We're going to explore that later on and go through. I've got a little bit to read out after this etymology language presentation, and if surgeons to step up, you can. Otherwise, I'll go through with the paperwork that I've got, and we'll have some questions, and you can give us some scenarios, some of your concerns, some of your queries, what you're not comprehending, or what you need further explanation on, or what something we haven't covered that you'd like covering if you're looking for a particular remedy. But we are working towards a generic remedy that will be 95–99% effective for all civil claims made upon them, the persons, your persons. If it's criminal, we understand then you need to answer for the criminal charges, claims made upon you and on your persons. Now you'd still take the same stance, you would still be the living man, but the living man's getting charged with a crime now, as opposed to an offence. So the living man would deal with that as in your capacity. You would not contract and you would choose not to consent, and you can deal with it in your private capacity. You don't need to turn into the legal fiction just because the officer says you need to sign in, you need to contract, you need to see, because you're going to get arrested or detained because it's a criminal offence. There will be a victim. There will be more than likely harm, injury and loss. It won't be a non-living entity like a corporation making claims that you owe money, going to the court and not turning up and dealing with the CPS. This is different. You may have knocked somebody over, you may have hit somebody when you was drunk, so therefore you would keep the stance of private, and it's your choice, but we will give you our interpretations and what people have done previously, what hasn't worked, what is working, and we've got members that are going to court now. Quite a lot, 5 people I know in the last couple of weeks have attended, and we're trying out these remedies for you, for us, for our children, and to test it out. So there's a few brave people we need to give thanks for. I'm not going to name them because it's private, but we are anybody that's on the group and in chats and in various groups, council tax my arse, the benefits one that Tiffany does with somebody else, that benefits rights one, that's really good, and our obvious knowledge we link to and pass messages. The guy that's in Roger Taylor's group as well, yes, it's just what we can always back stuff up. So some of this information has come, most of this information on this presentation that you're not going to be able to see very well. Just think about blacking out that, but I'll read it off for you. It's come from a video which I've got here to give you, and I'll give you the links after this seminar. In Sovereigns, on the event page, I will put all the links to the videos that I've got here for you, so you can watch them. We can transfer about 10 gig in the form of files, PDFs and videos, but they say that to watching YouTube videos is rubbish because they're not articulate, they're not factual, and I'll just say now that I've watched more in-depth, quality, factual, I say it because she loves the TV, so certain bits on the TV, and I we have the YouTube on. But there's some fantastic, it's better than what's on terrestrial TV, it's better than what's on Sky. The archaeological suppressed finds, it depends what area you're into, but whatever area you guys are into, whatever your interest is, science, technology, history, religion, politics, it's all there, and I can recommend and show you, and once we've watched these videos which contain a horrendous amount of information, there's 3 called the Golden Web that are 2 hours long each, and he says in it, he gives you statistics in number 2, he said, out of every 1,000 people that watch this presentation, 959 will switch off within the first 30 minutes. That will leave a remainder of like 49 people. 39 people out, then 39, these many people will switch off after 1 hour. And what I've done, is what I like to do, is to look at these things. I acknowledge that there's a fantastic amount of information. It isn't in the desired format for you guys. There's different people with different capabilities, different intelligences. You might have a good intelligence like me with music, being a DJ before, but not so much practical writing and application and grammar and spelling. But then again, you might be really good at art. You have a good interpretation of art, and you might be good at the language and phonetics, and you might be good at technology. So together we can all pool our resources, and the bigger the family, the more. It's like a master brain. Well, we've got resources, documents, videos, write-ups, members, websites, YouTube videos, meetings. Go ahead.
Well, the larger, or any group of people with any form of knowledge is known as a knowledge bank. We've got unlimited deposits from every individual. Everyone's got a story to tell, everyone's got an experience. So if we share it and then we come together and produce something like this, and it just keeps growing.
Common unity. Who just said that before? You said common unity, community. Well, they've turned this into communities now, but a common unity where we don't so much know our neighbour now, or we think the guy next door, the Chinese, living next to a white, living next to an Arabic, living next to a Polish. We need to understand that England has changed. We're Anglicans, and people say to me, but I'm British and I like the British way of life, but I'm British, I was born here, and the British way of life has changed. And if we don't acknowledge the change, and we don't move with the change, and we don't step up to it, including this language business, the definitions of words. Now, definition, let's just put there because it's at the beginning of these videos, there are 3. There's 6 hours total, so what I've tried to do is, I've included the first part of this presentation has got the first part of the video, and it's the first hour or so. I've taken shots from the screen, and then the last number 3 video, I've taken shots from the last bit of that to try and encompass it all, but compress it. So the Phoenicians, they travelled the world. I've told you earlier when I read about the history of the Phoenicians and Venice and Rome. That's just a bow. It's an old, I'm so sorry about the display, but it's just an old bow, like a faded bow. The saying in the Bible, he that hath ears to hear, let him hear, which is in Matthew 11:15. In the first example, audio could be turned into AU/DIO. You've got audio there. This is how words sound in the phonetics of it also, whereby AU is the symbol used in the periodic table of elements for gold, well done, element 79. Dio is Italian for God, Bosnian for part, portion, and Spanish for give hand. Put together, this provides an alternative translation of giving or handing a portion to God. This is connected to the Spanish word adios, which literally means to God. Definition equals definition. Just bear with me, guys, and then that's a dictionary showing you definitions of words in the book. Etymology and phonetics is what this session and this little bit of information, research and history is about. There is all-seeing eye. This is a secret kind of civilization, organisation. This isn't taught to you in GCSE English. There used to be a subject at school called civics that my grandma told me about, where they learned certain things that was beneficial to life and it got you ready for the world. Whereas today the children leave the school to go in the world, and they're not prepared. They don't know anything. They can't even fill out a form properly or write a CV, and they've just left school. Hello. So they're there for 18 years of their lives, and they're not ready to enter the world. They're not comprehending the environment they're in, and they're not taught, such as Templar is a Spanish, it means the Knights Templar, that is Spanish for key. Now language is broken down into lang, gu, age. The lang and the gu and the age, so that's of time. I haven't got it all now, I can't recite it all because this video I only picked up 2 weeks ago when I watched them. I've watched all.
Monster.
Is it? Monster,
Gu
yeah.
is the god of war.
Gu is the god of war and Lan is
So
the
it's
monster. Monster,
the
god of war of the ages. When we look into it, the actual breakdown of the thing. When I go to write notices, those bits of paper are passed around, and when you speak to a clerk or a judge or anybody like an officer who's in the legal profession, it's advisable that you point out you only speak you only speak Anglo-English. You do not speak or understand any other languages like their legalese, what they'll speak to you, which then sets the precedent on how they can speak. I would even consider saying that you are an idiot to a judge, because I'll get you the definition of the word idiot in the Black's law is someone who's not trained to use or comprehend legalese arena. So these are all little tiny, we're like putting cherries on cakes now with the information that we're finding. Go on.
Something funny that I saw.
Yeah.
You use the word idiot.
Idiot.